Mm-mm-mm.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, everybody. You can hear me.
Lisa,
Morning. Morning, everybody.
Hope everybody is having a good Friday so far. Just getting my day started. Excited to hang out with you guys today. Going to be kind of talking about some content creation, kind of how we distribute all of our content across all our socials and stuff like that. Eddie and Lindley, good morning. Glad you guys could make it. Lisa, Aaron,
Good morning.
Ian. Some of you guys might be at work, so totally understand if you gotta be on the down low. This will be the first of the monthly trainings that we did move to cash curriculum. So we were running these for free. We used to do the free affiliate trainings every month on the third Fridays. We decided to move them inside of here with cash curriculums peeps, and we'll be running some more structured trainings and tactics behind like what we're currently doing in the business, what's going on with us, instead of like the free 100K blueprint, which we did quite a few times for the free affiliate training. So today will be the first one. Excited for it. It will just be me. If you guys haven't heard yet, Flip is in the hospital and he's been in there for almost 2 weeks. So he should hopefully be home sometime today or early next week. But yeah, so running solo, you guys got to put up with my, shenanigans today, and Flip will be here in spirits. Miss Jeanette.
where'd you go?
Huh?
Where did you go?
I just turned my video
Hold
on.
up. Flip ate too much hot sauce, yeah. Pretty much. They said it was like hard foods, apparently, like peanuts and stuff, Um, kind of just blew out a hole in his intestines, which is no good. But we will dive right in, so that way I won't bore you guys with, my awkward silence. So pull this up over here. So I kind of going to be talking about content creation, and this is something that I really started doing. I took a hiatus from doing this for quite a while. So when I was working a full-time job, I used to batch create a lot of my content. I used to create a lot of my content in bulk, so that way I could like have more time for the weekends and wouldn't have to like get stressed out when I had crazy work weeks. But it's something I kind of really started rehoning back in probably 6 or 7 months ago. Uh, and it probably will take you a little bit of practice to do this. Like when you're doing it the first few times, if you're trying to like, batch create some content, I know it could be kind of difficult for some, but after you get some reps in and you've probably been doing it for, the next month, you should be able to get your content creation down to a minimum. So it usually takes me about 90 minutes to create an entire week's worth of content for my group and my profile. And that's from figuring out what I'm going to be writing about, actually writing the content itself, and then having it all ready to pull on throughout the week. You can schedule it, but most of the time I just kind of put it in a Google folder, and then I end up utilizing it and copy and pasting it over to Facebook or wherever I'm posting it, and then publishing it from there. So that's kind of the game plan. I kind of just want to walk you guys through the process that I'm using and what that looks like, and how you guys can start doing this for yourself. Because it'll end up saving you a lot of time, right, in the long run, and then opens up more time to have conversations with people, close sales, uh, stay consistent when things get busy, right? Everything, like we have things that happen in life that take us away from business. So kind of making it as easy as possible for ourselves to be able to show up even if things are hectic in life. So um do have a little bit of a folder that we'll share with you guys, and you guys can like make copies and end up putting it in your own Google Drive accounts. So that's the wrong one. Mm-mm. So first things first, like we gotta plan the content creation, pre-content planning. So the biggest thing that I know hangs a lot of people up is they say they don't know what to write about. I know I need to create content. I know what I need to create content on. Um, so what I like to personally do is before I ever even start creating the content is I will get clear on what I'm optimizing for through the entire week. Otherwise, it'll be hard to create a string of content. Right? Like if I sit down at my computer on Sunday and I'm like, hey, I want to write 5 posts, but I have no idea what my actual goal is for that week, it's going to be really hard for me to actually create any content, right? I'm like, I don't know what I'm even going to talk about, right? It's just kind of taking shots at the wall. So you got to get clear on like what's the overall goal for the main week? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want to sell more spots to an offer? Do you want to generate more conversations? Do you want to, replenish goodwill? And what I mean by that is, did you just like come out of a very aggressive promotion to your audience and kind of need to give back some value? Do you want to get exposure to a thing you previously did? So, like, did you do a live video? Did you do a training? Did you write a post that you created? And let's say, like, if you wrote a 5-step framework to, losing 10 pounds with keto, and you like put your heart and soul into writing this, beautiful Facebook post, do you want to refeed people to that? Something that we tend to forget too is if we've already put our energy into creating a piece of content, there's nothing saying that we can't continue to capitalize on that by resending new people to it. So that's something to think about as well. Planning a live or training that week. So if you are like have a very aggressive, not aggressive, but like a consistent schedule of like going live or running trainings in your group, a lot of your content would probably be revolving around getting people to that live training, right? We have a couple core clients who do lives on Wednesdays. So the one thing that we've kind of helped them do with their content matrix is like Monday and Friday, we need to like cast a net of attention around getting people to come hang out with them on Wednesday. Right. So Monday would be, I'm doing this thing on Wednesday and it's going to be really cool. And like, you should come hang out with us. And then Friday would be like, hey, we ran this thing on Wednesday. And if you missed it, this is what it's going to help you do. Right. So that's a good example of like refeeding something that you've done. Or another example is like the workshop that we did last February. We still send people to it to this day. And that's, we spent one day doing live videos almost a year ago. So, and then B, once we're clear on the overall goal for the week, we can create content under that premise that has the opportunity to help us maximize hitting the milestone we're looking to accomplish. So what I really mean by that is like, then once we have a clear vision on like the ultimate goal for the week, then we can start creating content that has the effect of creating opportunities for you to sell an offer, right? Or, hey, I want to generate more conversations this week, so I'm probably going to go a lot shorter with my content. Probably going to do a lot of like lead gen style content or purple post type content where I'm trying to get as many hand raisers as I can to fill my inbox with people because I want to start talking to more people. Or if I'm going to be like replenishing goodwill, then a lot of my content is probably going to not have any CTAs, right? It's not going to have very many CTAs or call to actions as far as, hey, I have this thing and you can get your hands on it over here. It's more of, giving away things that you already have or putting new things out there for the market. So and I will give you guys like I'll go through this in real time and I'll kind of just bucket out some stuff as far as how I'm personally doing this, just kind of like before to think about. So I personally map out all of my my group content first, and the reason that I do this is I can then use my profile content to seed the community. So we talk about this quite a lot in Group Juice, where we're like, hey, everything in your group can become an angle to get somebody in your group, right? So I personally like to do all of my group content first, because then after I've created all my group content, I can then go at like in with a fresh mind of, hey, I just wrote all of this content. Then I can look at it and be like, okay, well, I wrote this post on Monday, and I'm gonna go put a piece of content out on Tuesday on my profile that's gonna get people to go read that post I put out on Monday, if that makes sense. Hey, I wrote this thing that talks about, making your first $1,000 online. And I talked about one process that people have used. And then I can resend people back to that actual training or the piece of content that I wrote. So that's kind of the way I like to look at it. Biggest benefits, as I mentioned it earlier, have more time for combos on a daily basis because I'm not spending time writing content. The one thing that I've noticed myself personally is when I was writing a lot of stuff on the fly, it would take me forever. It would probably take me 45 minutes, half hour to write a Facebook post. I've seen it used to take me all day when I worked a full-time job. I'd write it on a piece of paper and, overanalyze and, recraft this post dozens of times before I ever posted it. So it ends up saving you a lot of time because when I sit down and focus on it, I can do this relatively quickly, and it's all of the content at once. So, can create other assets throughout the week. So I started like consistently creating more YouTube videos and publishing more YouTube content. And this kind of opened up bandwidth to have time to do that. Right. So it just gives you more scope to focus on other things in the business that will move you further. Right. Um, Lets me create and stay consistent even if I'm busy in real life, right? Like my daughter started school, we got all these activities, and I needed I wanted to have something in place that I could just have all of my content done and I didn't have to like worry about it. So it's definitely a big stress melter. Um, and then as I mentioned too, is post content creation, you can either schedule the content in your groups after you create it, or you can copy and paste what you've created to the platform and add a photo. I personally like to do the latter. I don't like to schedule the content because I like to use like real time images or maybe results or screenshots or testimonials and stuff like that on the actual content. So if I'm scheduling it, then I can't do that, right? So like if a client sends us a message and is like, "Hey, I did this," and then I can't use that on my actual content. So um, creating the content. Now, to be clear, I don't do this with TikToks. So I don't batch create short form videos. I used to kind of just do those on the fly. Um, you can technically do it if you wanted to, uh, or you can alternatively look at different ways of utilizing energy you're already putting in to create your content for the entire week. So a lot of our TikTok videos to this day are live recordings or lives that we run, and then we have a video editor who chops out clips and turns them into TikToks. So it's taking one piece of energy we're putting into our business and turning it into multiple. So that is an option, but like we do have a core client who kind of writes out all of her TikTok scripts and stuff like that throughout the week. So you can definitely do that. But if you wanted to actually like start batch creating your TikTok videos, you would have to like, record the video. And then there's that new feature where you can save the video file. Um, and then you can kind of pull on them throughout the weeks if you want. But I don't personally do this. I used to, but it just feels very sterile for me. And it's kind of hard to like do the TikToks in my opinion. So I find it a lot easier to just shoot the videos on the fly. It takes 2 minutes to say something random into the camera and then we're on our merry way. So, but you could if you wanted to, right? So creating the written content. So as I mentioned, we're like basic bitches when it comes to business. We literally are like probably some of the most boring dudes you've ever met. Um, I've like had people reach out and see if we needed help with certain processes in the business since Flip's been in the hospital, and it's like we really don't have that many moving parts. So there's not much you could help with if I'm being honest. Um, so creating the rank, we personally use all of everything we do in business is usually done through Google. So our entire content distribution machine is literally created in Google folders. So it's categorized by month, week, and date. And a really cool side effect to this is the longer that you guys end up creating all of your content, say in a Google folder or Google Docs, eventually you will have a massive catalog of content that you could pull on at any given point. And I will kind of pull up mine and walk through it and kind of show you guys what that looks like. I'll then create a new, so as an example, I'll go to the current year month folder, select the current place that I'm creating, usually my group first, and then I'll create a new Google document, which gets titled the overall week. So as an example, 10-30 through 11-3, topic or goal for the week. Bucket the ideas first, using your own content matrix and intentions for creating content before trying to write X posts. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot overview of what I'll be talking about and showing you guys today. And I do have some other stuff for you. And then I'll actually give you guys real time examples of what this would look like and kind of how I'm doing it personally. So first things first, or secondly, I guess, right, is mapping out your own content matrix. This can help immensely for you guys. So the thing I want you guys to think about when you're like looking at creating or writing your own content matrix is you're not necessarily tying this to specifics. So we want to look at, so like if we have our group, so instead of like saying on Monday, I'm going to talk about XYZ, or I'm going to talk about, building a personal brand, it's more of the actual intention behind that piece of content. So as an example, like I'll just show you guys our actual content matrix that we've followed probably for the last 6 months. And this is mine and Flips, right? So Monday, I'm doing some type of strategy. I'm doing some type of live. I'm doing YouTube, old document training / value. So this is like the actual flow that I follow every week in my group. Tuesday, some type of paid invite, core invite, offer post. Hey, I have this really cool thing that's going on. Hey, I'm running this cool training over in our cash rhythms community. You should come hang out with us. Tuesday is an actual offer post, right? I'm trying to optimize to get people to raise their hand to buy the product that I have to sell. Wednesday is a win, ours, client win, testimonial. Doesn't really necessarily matter what it is, just some type of win. And then
School lunch in the
lead
back.
gen. So I'm doing a hand raiser asset giveaway. Maybe I'm pulling on a live training that I've done previously. Maybe I'm utilizing something that just recently happened in the business to, give something away for people. These will usually be color block posts. Will usually be something to get hand raisers to start combos with people. And then Friday, I'll do some type of engagement content. You guys look at a lot of my group content, you guys will see this. I usually once a week, I'll ask the most obscure question you can think of, like is a cereal soup or whatever, do you put your toilet paper over or under, like just something random. Like there's literally no point of me trying to sell anything from that piece of content. It's literally an engagement piece of content. Just trying to get my audience to engage with me and interact with me in the group. And that's the premise or the intention behind the actual content itself. So when you guys are like creating your own content matrix, you would have to, I want you guys to look at it from what is the goal for the day, not what is the actual topic of what you're posting. Right. So Monday, I'm going to post a piece of content that's like a recap of what I did on the weekend, plans for the week. Right. Tuesday, I'm going to do engagement. I'm going to do a lead gen post. I'm going to do X, right? Not necessarily what you're posting about, but why you're posting the piece of content or the intention behind why you're actually creating that content. And then kind of follow it pretty rigidly for, a couple weeks. And then, you can always like change it and switch. But this is the one that we follow. Flips is a little bit different. So I'll give you an example of his too. And then profile. So I only post on my profile 3 times a week. And the reason I started doing that is because Reels started populating on your profile. So it's like my profile is already getting flooded with content as it is. So Monday I'll do some type of lifestyle, weekend snapshot, humor, what I'm doing, what I did over the weekend. Wednesday I'll do some type of lead gen, hand raiser, asset leverage, or offer. Kind of depends on the ultimate goal for the week. And then Friday will be a win, client winner result. Right. So that's kind of the intention. Flips is similar. So Flips content matrix for his group, bird's eye view of the week on Mondays, announcement, free training, lead generation, long form content about X topic / value. Wednesday is a win or a testimonial. Thursday, engagement, question, joke, family / lifestyle. And then Friday's big offer post or invite, whatever. So that's an example. And then very similar. If you look at his Monday, his diluted version of what he put in the community. So weekly game plan for lifestyle weekend snapshot, announcement, free training. Wednesday, win, lifestyle, family. Friday, again, an offer post. So that's what we mean by like putting together your own content matrix is, I don't even think I sent you guys this folder yet, but you guys will have to like make a copy of this stuff and put it in your own folders. I can't give you guys access because there's a lot of people that will have this, and then everybody would start seeing each other's content and it would be a mess. So you guys will just have to make copies of these docs and the folders and stuff like that. But creating your own matrix is going to be crucial. Gives you clarity, gives you intention behind why you're actually creating that content based on the actual day you're creating it. It really helps, right? If you know on Monday that you're going to be creating a piece of content that revolves around mindset, it's like, and you know that coming into like this week, and you see something that you really like, it's like, okay, cool. I can go like, maybe I'll talk about that on Monday, right? And then like eventually you'll just have like all these different topics and things that you could start speaking on. And it just makes actually going into creating the content relatively easy. And then I'll kind of run through the folder of how we have this structured. And I think I have an actual folder that I can send you guys where you could import it into your own accounts if you wanted. I'll have to double check on that once I wrap up the training. But so if you notice, we have it basically just bucketed into, if we go into our Google Drive, we have, content. So this is where we create all of our content is just in a folder that is titled content. And then we just categorize it by who's posting it. So this isn't relevant if you don't have like a significant other or spouse or, business partner who's doing this with you, because you'll just have you, right? So we're basically, and then I categorize it by where I'm posting it. So group juice group, my group, profile, right? So I have 3 different main places that I'm creating this content, right? So if we go into the group, and then I'll categorize it by year. So we have 2022, 23, 24. So if you guys will notice, I've been creating content in Google Drive for quite a while. So you'll see like, and then I categorize it by every month. So then you come into 2023 and we have every single month of 2023. And if you click on the specific month, you'll have all of the content, usually in weeks, that I wrote. So as an example, this is like what I'll give you guys a real-time breakdown of what I did this week, right? So 115 to 119, which is this week. And, I was trying to optimize for the cash curriculums training that I'm running with you guys right now, Right, I'm doing this training right here, and this is what I wanted to create in a lot of my content throughout the week, talk about it in a lot of my content. So we'll kind of go through the intention behind it, and then I'll kind of show you what I mean when I talked about like bucketing out what I was doing before I was ever even writing the actual posts themselves. So if you notice, you'll see a lot of the content matrix in exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like
Look how dry my hands are.
how I'm creating all these posts. So Monday, this is a very valuable post. There's no pitch. Right? This is just about all the things we've launched and the nuances behind us launching a lot of offers because we've done them all one at a time. Right. And I think everybody tries to diversify not everybody, but a lot of people try to diversify way too quickly. They try to add all these complexities and moving parts way too fast versus, writing pockets of intentioned focus in one thing or one area. So I basically just wrote a post talking about, hey, we've launched all these different things, but when you zoom out, we spent, a good amount of time, 30, 45 days focusing on one thing at once. It wasn't like we were launching all 12 of these things at one time. It was, hey, we're running this cool thing and we're going to put all of our energy into that for the next, month and a half and nothing else. Right. So, and then what I usually do is just at the top, sometimes I'll put a title. Probably should have gave you guys an example of where I was actually like creating the idea because it's a bad example for you guys, but I'll put the date and then of what up and then the actual posts. So I'll write the post and then I'll come in and I'll copy and paste this. Right. So if you notice, I just posted this at 8 o'clock this morning on my profile. Right. So I'm creating all my content in Google Drive first. So real-time example, I'll show you guys and I'll just do this for you guys. When I'm talking about putting together your ideas, which makes it a lot easier. So I'll literally just do it in real time for you for like flip, right? So we got 2024. We'll go to the month, January. Create a new Google Doc. And then, so we'll title it, the week of the 22nd through the 26th. So 1-22 through 1-26. So as an example, right? Like this is kind of what I'm thinking about for talking about next week, right? So then I'll start putting all the dates. Then I'll usually put little lines. To kind of break up the actual posts. And then so if we go off of like the actual content matrix that Flip has, so we got his matrix. So then I'll just put these here for now, right? So this would be Monday, right? So Tuesday. So this would be like his Monday, right? So then I would kind of write the intention or the actual topic of the piece of content that I was going to write before I ever even started. So I would do this for the entire piece of content or entire week, right? So I wouldn't actually write these one at a time. I would write them one at a time, but I want to like do all of the ideas or topics first before I just start like writing. It just makes it a lot easier in my opinion. So say Monday, I'll do if I want to optimize this week to like talk about what we've been doing inside cash curriculums, what types of trainings we have, like, kind of ride the attention or the wave of, school being the coolest community platform since, peanut butter and jelly as of right now, because, big people are investing in it and stuff like that. So we could potentially do some type of value. We could do how we launched a school community. $30K in recurring income in less than 8 weeks. Right. What did that look like? So I'm just basically bucketing out a topic. Right? So I'm not actually writing the post yet. I'm just giving myself the feel to write the piece of content. Right? I want to make it as easy as possible for myself to write the post when it's time to write the post. Right. So I want to know what I'm going to be talking about and then kind of main things that I want to, hit on. Or if I'm talking about how we launched the school community, okay, well then I need to talk about what that looked like. What are the moving parts? What did we actually put into this group? Like, you know, how can we turn this thing that we've done in business to be something of value to the person that's reading it? Because that's the uh one of the things that we're, for Monday, it's a value. It's a value post. Right. So I want to give something away to my audience. So how can I spin some type of lesson to the audience that I'm actually uh, writing content for? So then we'll go to Tuesday. So Tuesday we could do some type of free training, lead generation, long form content about X topic. So Tuesday I could do lead generation, lead gen posts revolving around creating content. So that's an example, right? So Tuesday, if I want to do some type of lead gen, uh, refeed a training. Right. So then this is another example of like we talk about refeeding assets or trainings or energy that you guys put into business. So Tuesday, I'll make it a point to create a lead gen post talking about this training that I'm running with you guys right now. I'm going to go talk about like how we more content in less time. Right. Kind of from that premise, how we create content in less time that actually converts sales, how we spend less time creating content. So on a deeper level, if you look at what I'm kind of saying there and what I'm doing there is I'm giving something, I'm allowing somebody to remove something that they don't like from their business while helping them get to where they want to go. Right. People want to make more sales. People want to have more success. They want to do, have more financial sales online, but they don't want to spend as much time doing it. Right. Like that's a lot why a lot of people want to, do AI and software and all that stuff is because I feel like they have to. So I'm kind of hitting both angles there. So having that idea of, hey, I'll use a lead gen post. Maybe I'll use a picture from this training or something like that. And I'll use that as a post for Tuesday. Tuesday or a Wednesday win. So I don't think she's on here anymore, but Wednesday win could talk about Jeanette and Jill hitting their 1 year for Vibe Tribe. Right. So as an example, so Wednesday's a win. I could talk about Jeanette and Joe hitting their 1 year anniversary with Vibe Tribe. Highlights the offer that we helped them create, which has now done tens of thousands of dollars. What working with them has been like. I've met Jeanette in person twice. We hung out in New York. She took me to have my first New York slice of pizza. Like share a win. Talk about like what that's been like. Now, if you guys don't have client wins, that doesn't mean you guys can't start mixing in your own wins. And these don't have to be magical transformations or big things in business. A thing to remember is earlier stages, a lot of the little things that you guys accomplish feel a lot more attainable to somebody who's just looking to get started. Right? If you have somebody who's just looking to start an online business and they're like, hey, I just grew my audience by 100 people, that's a lot more obtainable to somebody than somebody who's like, hey, I made $1 million in 15 minutes. Like they're like, that's not even a real thing. Like I'm not going to do that. So don't be modest. Obviously, you don't have to go out there and lie to people. Don't do that. But if you're doing cool shit in your life and business, share it. Talk about it. Right? If you guys are here, you guys are doing anything in business, you have the courage to do more than most people. Fucking be proud of it and share it. Hey, I posted 6 pieces of content this week and I generated 10 leads. Right? That's 10 more leads than somebody who isn't creating content. Right? Talk about it. It's all it's all the little tiny micro wins that compound into the big stuff. It's not like it's just this magical, you go from 0 to, 6-figure business, right? Overnight. It's like you have all these little compounding wins that yield that bigger result that you guys want. And if you don't shed light on the stuff you guys are doing, nobody's going to know. Right? Talk about it. If you grew your group by 100 people, if you had a really cool conversation with somebody that you enjoyed talking to, like talk about all of it. Right? I think the most stressful part for people is that there is no rules to this content creation game. And that can be a breath of fresh air, but it can also be intimidating at the same time. So then we got Thursday. So Thursday, engagement. Maybe make joke about foods. So as an example, I was bucketing these ideas for Flip. So he's on like a straight liquid diet. So as an example, right? Ate yogurt for the last 2 weeks, and the nurse told him, "Are you hungry? Just eat ice chips." So, or you can just ask super silly questions, right? Like, what are you currently reading? Right? Favorite TV shows? Cereal. Right? Just think about like if you have a day that you're just asking about engagement or anything like that, it doesn't have to be anything related to biz. Like, hey, post a picture of your dog in the comments of this post. Like it doesn't have, I think what people tend to forget too is like if you post about something that's not related to business, it can actually benefit your business because one, it comes across like you're a human. If let's say you're talking about like pets and you post pictures of your pets in your group, or you post a picture of your dog in the comment section of your group, and everybody's talking about their dogs and everybody's talking about their pets, like you're building some type of connection beyond just like, hey, I have this cool business and I'm going to help you do this thing. Right. So it's something to think about. The fun questions, they're not necessarily meant to sell. They're just meant to generate engagement, connect with your community. But they can also create opportunities to get more exposure to your other content. So if you're interacting with somebody in the comment section of a post in your group that you put about like, hey, I put the milk in my bowl first of my cereal. And that's like, everybody's like, that's weird, right? Like, why would you do that? And then if you guys are like, having some banter in the comment section, they're going to start seeing more of your content everywhere else. because that's the way the algorithms and that's the way the social media platforms work, is if they're spending time on your social media content, it's going to start showing them more stuff, right? So even if it has nothing to do with business, it doesn't mean it doesn't increase awareness or attention to the other things you do, right? So if you notice, there's an intention behind doing some type of engagement post the day before we're doing an offer post. So we're doing a piece of content that has nothing to do with business. That's probably going to get a lot of comments, going to get our groups to interact a lot. And then we're doing an offer post the day after that. Because there's going to be a lot of people that comment about, whatever we post as silly, right? I've done probably some of the weirdest ones in my group. And then that's usually an offer post right after that. That makes sense. While the attention is fresh in a sense, right? Big offer post Friday, right? Public core invite. So we could potentially do a core invite about the game plan. Right. So as a real-time example, so like this is exactly what I would do if I was going into creating my content for the entire week. So these aren't the posts in themselves, right? These are what I want to be talking about throughout the week. So and then I would come through and I would start writing the content, right? So then I would come back through under all of these. I would do the entire week first because I like to have like the ideas and all of the actual topics of the content figured out first, because then I can, make them flow better together. I can have, it lets you step back a little bit further too. If I'm creating multiple pieces of content, you're going to be very aware if, let's say your post on Wednesday is like, contradicting the post you put out on Monday. Right. So if I wrote a post on Monday that's like, hey, don't fucking do Zoom calls. And then on Wednesday, I'm like, hey, who wants more Zoom calls? It's like it just, it looks bad as a whole, right? I'm contradicting myself. So when you start creating the content in a string, you'll end up seeing those, right? You'll end up seeing those a lot easier versus, doing it on the fly. In my opinion, sometimes it's easy to forget. So then I'll actually start coming through and I'll actually start writing the content itself, right? And then these don't have to be long too. So the thing to think about is if you aren't like a wordsmith, which I wouldn't even consider myself a wordsmith, they don't have to be extremely long pieces of content. I think the biggest thing is testing different angles or finding your own writing style.
Good on my side. Good
Some
on my
people have
side.
very short
Go, go,
content. Some
go,
people, it
go,
could be
catch
10, 15 lines. It could be 5 lines. It could be a color post, right? For me, the main thing to think about is I'm probably doing, if we look at my actual content. So if we look at my actual content for this, we'll just go New Year, right?
Okay.
A lot of my content isn't going to be very long. So this is another real-time example of stuff that I did in the beginning of the year, right? So this was like a kind of game plan, what we're planning for the new year, talking about being boring and how we're probably just going to do the same stuff that we've been doing for a couple of years because it's working really well. This is a win, talking about a win. If you notice, these aren't long, right? This post is not very long, but it's just, hey, money's cool, transformations are cooler. We've had client just did this cool thing in business, right? Not pitching them, not
All right.
really
Just the
necessarily
tech,
giving
yeah.
them a CTA to do
Just the
anything.
tech. Oh, yeah.
This is another win. Right?
Okay, thanks.
Notice how short these
I found one of
are.
your nails inside the
It's not,
glove
it's not a beefy
that I
post.
use. Yeah.
Right? Talked about how a client had 2 times as many followers as me. I took her group to 1,000 people, jumped on a call with her, dived into a bit of a restructure and pricing her offer. One post in our group, one spot sold less than 12 hours.
Huh?
Right, that's
No,
it.
I knew.
And I'm just
it
talking
wasn't a
about something.
spider.
And these don't, if you guys don't have client results and testimonials, you guys can still transfer this into your own process, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be
Oh, yeah?
tied to
Oh, shit.
your clients doing the thing that you do yet, right? So just kind of trying to break examples down. Like if you look at the entire week of content, this is right Friday. What would your weapon of choice be in a zombie apocalypse? Why? Just random question. So, example, look, if you notice here, I knew I was going to be running this training and cash curriculum. So I started building attention around it at the beginning of the month. Right? This was one of the first posts that I put out about it. I created an entire week of client getting content in less than 20 minutes, 120 minutes a week without AI or software. Who wants it? Right. And then I was sending people a message. Hey, if you're already in cash curriculums, go check out the calendar section. So that way you can join us on live, or send me a message with hashtag CC and I'll get you an invite to the community. Right. That's what I was doing. So the content doesn't have to be very long. But then what I'll end up doing, kind of squirreling here, sorry. What I'll end up doing on the actual content that I bucketed out for the week, I'll either then write all of the content. So then I'll come through and I'll write, my Monday post about how I launched a school community, which added 30K in recurring revenue in less than 8 weeks. Or, a lead gen revolving around this will usually probably be a, this will be short purple post, this could be a little bit longer. Right, talking about what that's looked like, or even maybe we're even looking at older posts. This also would be short, right? This would be short. And then core invite, this would probably be, I could go 2 different ways with this. So if I'm doing an offer post, it could potentially be, there's 2 different styles to like lead gen or like offers that you could potentially do. So it kind of depends on the moving parts that you guys have in your own business. But we have it's about an hour-long video that we send a lot of people who potentially want to talk about coming and hanging out with us inside of Core. It's called our community conversion system. We kind of have them go watch that first because that's the entire model that we help them deploy in their business. So one, with like an offer post, we could either write this big thing, right? We can write this super polished piece of content offering people about this, making an offer about Core, or we can use a very short lead gen style post and send people to this video, right? Still a valuable video that they can go watch. They can go watch this hour-long training, and then they can kind of circle back with us on the tail end or not.
Can't turn them off.
Right? So there's 2 different styles we could potentially lean into with that. But then I'll write all of my content for the group. And then after I've done that, I will kind of go and do my profile. So this would be my group, right? So these are like the actual buckets of ideas. Obviously, I don't want to have you guys sit here with me all day, so I don't want to write content in real time over the shoulder because that would be kind of boring. But is this making sense to you guys? Like how I'm kind of mapping this out and how I'm flowing what I'm going to create for the week before I create it. Because if not, I can kind of explain or, let you guys, yeah, Josh. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's so then after I've done all my group content, I'll come back through and I will go to my profile and I'll do the same thing. But a lot of the times, a lot of the times I will come back through and a lot of the times in my profile, I'll usually just utilize what I did in my group to encapsulate more energy or refeed people back into the group. So if you notice, this is an example of what I did in the beginning of the year. This is example of like what these are actual topics, right? I didn't actually write this content. So these are buckets and ideas that I put together for Flip. So 1-1, 2023 recap, New Year plans, hammer results, what we've done this year while working less and living more life. Right? We made significantly more money last year and worked way less amount of hours and onboarded less clients. Right? 1-3, client roundup success, melting pot of first client success that comes to mind in the last 12 months. What ones have been the most impactful to you and why? Now, these aren't questions I'm asking the reader. These are questions I'm giving myself, so that way I know what I want to write that content on, right? So who's the first client I think of, right, in the last 12 months, right? Write a piece of content about it. Right? What's the number one thing that you struggled with in the last 12 months? Fucking write about that, right? What's the one thing that, you want to do in 2023 or 2024? Right? What's the one big thing that you want to accomplish this year? Right? Okay, well, I'm going to write a piece of content about that on Wednesday, right? So then 1-5 lead gen for community conversion system, as I was mentioning, purple post, 1,700, 53 sales closed in 2023 with 0 sales calls on the calendar to make it possible. Free training on this 3-step process. Right. So that's like an example of a lead gen post, lead gen style piece of content that we probably used it multiple times at this point. Another real-time example, kind of just running through these for you guys so that way you guys kind of figure out and kind of get what I'm doing here. I will send you guys folders and stuff that you guys can import into your Google account if you guys want this. Give you guys a real-time example. So if we come in here and we look at January 15th to the 19th, which is just a real-time example of everything that we've talked about today. And I ran through this earlier in the training. As the mention, right, like as the topic for the week, this is what I knew I wanted to optimize for throughout the week was this thing that we're doing right now. But I wanted to get more people to come hang out with us or me and attend this training that I'm recording and, doing in this Zoom session with you guys right the second. So I knew that was the intention for the week, right? So I create content about content creation, right? Been told to post content, but find yourself staring at a blank canvas, thinking to yourself, what do I even talk about? Me too. In fact, it used to take me hours to write a single post, but I'm literally talking about things that I've mentioned on this call with you guys, right? Because I knew I was going to be trying to cast more attention around having people come hang out and run this training. I already knew I was running this training. So as an example, I'm refeeding this, right? That was the goal for the week. So there's an offer post around that, right? This is just a wins post, right? When your Google Drive folder is full of wins, testimonials, awards. And then I talked about probably one of the biggest pieces of fulfillment for me in business is that you get to be a part of and witness other people building brands and businesses that they love to operate, right? That isn't just, make money online, right? Like trauma, working with trauma. And like, I've coached someone who was like helping women go through menopause, which was like a very weird thing for me as being like this was a few years ago, but I'm like, not even 30 yet. And I'm like coaching someone how to help women go through menopause, right? Like it was a weird one. So but it's cool because that's what they fucking like. That's what they wanted. They wanted to empower other women to, like, get themselves back and feel good about themselves and, like, be proud and shit. So that's cool. One of the most fulfilling parts for me, right, is when you start helping people, when you start witnessing these changes in people's lives and businesses, because they start building businesses that they love to run, right? And when I mean that, it's not just they love to run it because it makes a bunch of money. It's because it brings them fulfillment. They enjoy what they're doing, right? So that's a little bit of a wins post. You guys would see this like literally yesterday. I posted this in my group. Like, we've sold 5K plus offers with a few messages back and forth because of this content strategy. Right. So if you guys are seeing the commonalities here, I made it a point to talk about cash curriculums training, right? That was the goal for the week. So a lot of the stuff that I included in my week of content, it's all about content creation. It's all about what this content creation strategy will do for them. Right. So if you guys are kind of seeing how the whole thing works together, right? So example, see, come Friday, 12 p.m. EST, I'm revealing a simple tweak that has allowed me to spend less time creating content that drastically reduces how much work I need to do in the DMs to onboard clients. The stress melter when it comes to consistently selling products or services online. Hashtag stress below. I'll ping you an invite to join me live as I break it all down for you. Right, some of you guys that are even here right now commented on that post. So, as an example, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing throughout the week, figuring out the ultimate goal, agenda, topic, what I'm going to be optimizing for throughout the week. This will change. It's not going to be a static thing that I'm just, hey, I'm going to talk about selling this one product or this one thing indefinitely. How you show up or what you're talking about is going to ebb and flow. Different things are going to happen in business. You're going to run into new challenges. You're going to run into you're going to have breakthroughs, successes. Like, it will change, like, over time and evolve, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But kind of getting your own matrix in place. And then what I was mentioning to you guys prior to is then I'll come back into, after I've written and created all my group content, I'll come in and I will do my profile. Right. So we'll look at my profile for the week, which you'll see it's short. I don't even know if I did. Yeah. So all of my, like, all the content on my profile throughout the entire week is less than like 3 pages. Right. And I made it a point to go really short this week intentionally, because I wanted to try to test a few different things and try to get, more hand raisers. So Monday of the week, simple content strategy takes less than 2 hours weekly that has allowed us to close 2.7K sales with less than 12 calls total. We don't do Zoom calls, calendars, like, it's part of our business. So it's a real result, right? We've converted thousands of sales without Zoom sessions, which some people would say that's impossible, right? Some people would say you can't do that. So example, right? This is on Monday because I knew that I wanted to talk about the content creation training that I'm running here with you guys right now. Again, I sound like I'm repeating myself over and over again. Monday on my profile, I'm talking about this training that I'm doing on Friday. Right? But I got clear on the overall goal for the entire week first, right? I asked myself, hey, what am I optimizing for in my business this week? Okay, well, I have this training plan on Friday that I probably want to get some people in. I'll probably want to have some people come hang out with us. So that's what I need to start creating content about that week. Right. This will change. Hey, there's a promotion that's going on with this product that I'm a part of. Like, okay, well, I'm going to partake in that. And, like, there's only a couple weeks left, so I probably need to start, like, building some awareness around that. Or, hey, I just partook in this promotion with this product launch and I've been selling a lot of my content. So maybe I just need to do a little bit of lifestyle stuff and I need to talk about, what's been going on with my family, what's been going on with my work, what's been going on with my business. Okay, so then a lot of my content for the week is just going to be low pressure pictures. Hey, this is one cool thing that I learned on this new product that I just did, or this new diet that I just started taking, right? Do you take diets or you do diets? I don't, yeah. Um, uh, as an example, right? Like you got to get clear on what you're going to be optimizing for the week first. Makes everything else easier, as I mentioned. And then if you notice here, 116, this is the entire post. So this is something that I've started doing a lot recently too, is doing a lot of the really short color block posts, but then putting a very beefy comment section. So I've even done this where I'll put the hook in the color block post, and then I'll write a big piece of content in the comments. Right, just a different nuance, a different style of content. Right. A lot of the times the color block posts get more engagement, so you can usually kind of use that to your advantage. If you put, hey, 5 steps to XYZ in this, purple post, people are like going to flood to the comment section, and then they go to the comment section and you have this very substantial piece of content actually in the comments that they can consume. So, but I do that a lot. And then I haven't posted this. I didn't post this yet. Just decided not to post it because I was already posting about it elsewhere a few times. I did a TikTok about it, so I just didn't like repeat myself in a written post, right? Or if I already did a TikTok talking about, hey, we're running a training about XYZ, then I wasn't necessarily going to write another or post another written piece of content about it. So, so if you notice what I didn't, this is a kind of a bad example because a lot of this content wasn't refeeding the group. So we'll try to find some content that does refeed. Yeah. So this is from the week. This is a example for the week prior. So this this is literally the this is 1-8 to 112. This is my ideas for the content that I had for my profile. I posted a picture with me and my daughter. Nothing to do with business. Just hey, I think I posted, hey, my daughter's playing Minecraft and I'm helping our client write some content. Like that's it. That's what I'm doing. Doesn't have to be super crazy. And then this was a lead gen post. So I wrote a written framework in my group about how we turned a $50 offer to 20K in 20 days. I was breaking down the Juicebox launch when we launched Juicebox a year and a half ago at this point, I think. But I wrote a piece of content in my group talking about what this looked like, building proof of concept, piquing interest in like building demand first before we ever even like launched the product. And I wrote this in an actual piece of content, and then I looped them back to my group. Right. And I can show you guys in real time what I mean. So yeah, so perfect example. So I did change the copy a little bit on it. So if you noticed, this is what I had. 1-10 just dropped a written breakdown of how we pulled in 20K in 20 days with a $50 offer. Who missed it? Now I changed the wording a little bit on the actual post itself. Just crunch numbers, did about 88K with a $50 product to go live for 5 days. Right. That's what we did. We went live in a Facebook group for 5 days, and to date, it's probably done about $88,000 to go live in a community for 5 days in a row. Right. So what the launch framework we used, right? So it's very similar to this. It's this same intention. Then what I'm doing is I'm looping people back to the actual group piece of content, right? So this is a good example of what we talk about often when we're like, hey, utilize the group content, create the group content first, because, hey, I knew I wrote this really cool framework in my group, so I will probably want to go get some people to read it. right? So then I was just sending people the actual link to my group post. If you notice, here's the group post, right? Just a high value piece of content, no pitch, right? This was, I think, on a Monday. So that was my value day. This is a tactic, a strategy, still following the matrix. You guys see what I'm doing here, right? Like how we cracked 20K in 20 days with a $50 offer, right? TLDR, how we launched a self-paced digital product that we've sold hundreds of times at this point. Right? You can do this with affiliate products, an offer of your own, mixture of the two. So that I'm kind of just running through what this looks like, right? Why you would be doing this, how you can put together the offer, thinking about ascension, marketing, angles, like the whole shebang, talking about what we would look at if we were actually doing this and what we did do when we did this, right? And then I'm utilizing this energy that I put in, and there's nothing saying that I can't continue to send people to this piece of content for the next 6 months, right? A good real-time example is if we look at like my welcome post. I've been sending people to this same welcome post for 4 years, right? I wrote this post on October 28th, 2020. And I've edited it and I've changed it as my business has changed, but it's just an example. People have questions about what they can find in the group or what they need or how they can get what this group is about. I just send them this, right? Hey, go read this. Hey, go watch this training. Go watch this video, right? You guys have things in your group or you guys already have things in your group that you've already created in there. That's a very easy thing to start looking at, mixing into the content creation, encapsulating the energy that you already put in, right? So I could make it a complete plan to like come through my guide section and, hey, this week I want to make sure that I send somebody this video or this training that we ran or this training that we ran or this training that we ran, right? And this is a big one for a lot of people that end up going live a lot, is that they end up, getting in the habit or a routine of like live hours daily, which isn't necessarily anything wrong with that, but there's also nothing wrong with encapsulating on the leverage that you guys create. But if you wrote a piece of content that you fucking liked and you thought it was a really good piece of content that was going to help somebody do something cool in their business and it didn't take off when you wrote it, send people to it, right? That is something that is in our control, 100%. Like if we wrote this framework or we recorded this video or we did this training for people and you didn't have, 45 people attend when you went live, like there's nothing saying that you can't send people to it after you've done it, right? You couldn't make that the entire centerpiece of what you're doing for, the next 30 days. Hey, I want to get this training in more people's hands because I liked it. I thought it was pretty valuable and I shed light on everything I wish I would have known, right? We do this a lot with our actual promotions. A lot of the times is we'll do, it is in Group G's. I think it's called the Cash Mullet Kickoff. So what we'll do a lot of the times is a free live training on the front, and then we'll refeed that free training for the entire duration of this promotion. Right. So we'll run this free thing, and then the only goal is to get more people to go look at this free thing because we're making invitations on the back for people to buy our offers. It's an example of like refeeding the trainings that you've done, right? Even if it didn't get it didn't take off like you wanted the first time you did it, doesn't mean you can't redo it or like refeed it, as Bobby said. Right? If you ran a kick-ass niche training in your group, then make it a point to get that in people's hands, like twice a month, right? Or also like we have to think about like if somebody start asking you about, hey, like I don't know what niche to choose, like that's the immediate thing I'm pulling on. Hey, that's why I have this video here for you. I created this training that will help you break down that. Something also, if you have common questions that you get asked, is making it a point to put those in some type of leveraged material will definitely help your headspace over time. But That's something we can riff on another day because that's a whole nother beast. So let me see. Clerk seller bonus follow content. I'm gonna give you guys a copy of this because this is we did do a similar training to this to our core clients a while back. And you guys are getting a snapshot of that. So this is an example of like the ideas that I've bucketed out when we did this for core. Goals, more conversations would probably go shorter, dopamine heavy related to what you want. One, refeed training you've done, assets you've already created in the group with the goal of generating more conversations. 1030, X training reveals a simple process I use to generate 10K in 73 days. Who wants it? Right. I was actually bucketing out content ideas on the live training with some of our core clients. So, 11.1, story post, what you wish you would have known before coming online and what knowing this for someone who's looking to start would save them from. Could be finances, time, headaches, wasted X. Write the content here, right? As an example. See? Offer post. What is a piece of your offer that will help someone accomplish their goal? What can it help them eliminate from their business that they're currently struggling with? If you can help somebody get to a goal that they want to accomplish while eliminating something from their business that they hate, it's a recipe for a lot of attention or a recipe for a lot of sales. Right? If you look at a lot of what we did with Group Juice, it was kind of plugging a big hole in the market as far as, I mean, people still do it even to this day. Like, you got to go into groups and add friends and do all that stuff. And we came out and we're like, hey, there's this way that you can do that without doing that at all. Right. Let me grab my charger real quick because laptop is going to die.
From Buddy.
Us. All right. Apologies. So that's another example of like a core example. Another example of example number 2. Weekly. I think this is one that we did for a client who's doing weekly live videos, right? So example of they're doing a live video on Wednesday. So we got Monday. Obviously, these are like older dates because we helped them do this a couple months back. Lead gen hand raiser in relation to the live training that is planned in the middle of the week. Right? So I'm going to cast attention and awareness around what I have planned on Wednesday. Tuesday, long form piece of content in relation to the ultimate goal of the week, i.e. I want to sell X offer, talking about a specific thing that has happened inside of my own business after deploying X. And I know that I have one of those things inside of the product that I'm selling. So example, if you can keep the strategy or what you're talking about, hey, I had a really cool result with this one thing in my business, and you have an offer that helps somebody with that one thing, it's beneficial, right? It's advantageous it's congruent to the offer. If I'm talking about a strategy that we use to grow and monetize a group, we have an entire product and program around growing and monetizing the group, right? It's congruent. It's linear to the offer or the solution that I'm trying to provide to people via paid offers. And then the Wednesday would be the live video training value. depending on like what your actual cadence of lives are. And then Thursday would be
that could get stuck.
engagement post. Silly question: Do all Australians eat kangaroo meat shanks?
Come on, Efra. It's
Just
your basket.
who knows? So something random. And then if you notice Friday, refeed the live, leverage comment, engagement, or a result that came from the live. Could be something that you accomplished or the consumer accomplished. So good real-time example, if you ran a live training on Wednesday about growing an audience and somebody watched that video and went and grew their following by 10 people and they told you about it, you could then go create a piece of content about that on Friday. Hey, so-and-so watched this training that I ran on Wednesday and they did this. Or maybe you had a result. Hey, I closed one sale. I turned a 60-minute live video into $1,000 sale. Right. Then I broke down that process, and if you missed the live, I would, you're re-looping back to piece of content that you put out on Wednesday. That makes sense. And then let's see, 4 buckets of content. So this is something that I wasn't planning on going to give you guys, but I will anyways, just because if we can make it easier for you guys to create content, win-win. So this is a good example of what you guys, and if you guys are already in Group Juice, you guys have this. So just full transparency, if you guys are in Group Juice, you do have this 4 buckets of content. We've dropped it in a few places. But this is a good thing to come back to if you struggle with what do I actually create content about, or like the intentions behind what you're creating content. I would recommend everybody to like brain dump themselves. If you guys could create like let's say you have a folder like this, right, where you have all your content that you're housing, right? So you have your free content creation planning, which I did in the beginning. You have your content matrix here, right? And then you have your content ideas. It kind of just makes it as easy as possible for you to start creating bulk content, right? So if you haven't, I would brain dump all of the things that you've done in business and life and like things that you can start to create topics on, right? So anything can kind of be roped into 4 different phases, really, right? Challenges, show them a real life frustration you're dealing with to showcase you, or that where they're at, right? Like, what are challenges that you faced? What are challenges that you went through? Right? I struggled for years in business. It's not some marketing tactic I use. I literally showed up every day for years before I ever even had my breakthrough. But I was not focused. I was constantly chasing my tail and buying everything under the sun and trying to, chase my own tail, which you guys will see that in a lot of the content that I create, where I'm kind of polarizing of like, hey, get focused, stop fucking, I don't care what you're doing, just focus on it for the rest of the year. That's because that's one of the main things I struggled with, right? I was constantly just like, oh, this thing doesn't work, I'm going to do the next thing. Right? I can't tell you the number of times that I bought $1,000 programs and I literally just turned around and bought the next thing and didn't even do anything with the other program I just bought. I've done that tons of times. Another example, layer in some specificity and explain in detail their current challenges by using a story to paint a picture for them, kind of like a mini movie script. Right? What is a challenge that you have overcome that somebody is actively struggling with? Right? You don't, if you're unaware of what the market is struggling with, like scroll social media for a little bit, go look in groups. Like it's usually the same stuff: tech, content creation, all these other moving parts of like things in business it's usually pretty common. Like there's a lot of commonalities, right? So example, present them their own struggles and prove that you know them and that you have a better way to do it. They have a better way to do business. They have a better way to, stay on keto or, lose weight without counting calories or what it could be anything, right? But show them that you understand their struggles and that you have a way to get out of it. So, present problems, frustrations, keeping them where they are now, right? As an example. So, two, these are like different buckets of content, right? So, obviously, you guys, I would encourage all of you guys to like brain dump your own things you could talk about, and that way you can kind of pull on that whenever you want to create content. Like, talk about your story journey. Like, if you went through and you made a copy of this, so like, and like just as an example, I'll delete this, but like, if you came through and like, let's say Eddie and Lindley's thing autocorrect. Right. And then we came through and we just started listing out, 1, 2, 3, and we just started listing out all of the challenges that we went through. Right. What are challenges that we did? Right. And then we can do the same thing with like, game plans, things that we know, things that we understand, right? Like, and these don't always have to be related to business as well. Right. It could be things that you guys actually have expertise on, you guys have experience with, family, kids, hunting, whatever. It doesn't have to just be business. But bucketing out your own actual things that you can pull on, number 2, roadmap, blueprint, game plan, profit path. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a profit path if you're not selling things that are about profit, but just as an example, real-time example, because it's our business, that's kind of the space we play in. How is going to help them accomplish their short and long-term goals? What are you doing? How are you doing it? Don't be afraid to give away what you fucking do. I think that's one thing in the people in the information space tend to be scared of. Like, hey, if I tell somebody how I'm running my business, like they're not going to buy my products, which is yeah, there will be some people that don't, but the harsh reality is a lot of the times we tell people all the time what we actually do in our business. It's not a secret, right? We'll tell you everything that we're doing, but somebody actually going out and doing it, it's usually pretty slim. A lot of the times they're not actually going to go deploy the information we give them. Even if we put all our energy into like giving them things for free. Like radical transparency. That's why we stopped doing these calls for free. Right? Because we did them every month for 4 months and it was the same people coming over and they never did anything. No skin in the game, no investments, right? So it's like, it's not that we wanted to remove them. It was ultimately going to be a waste of their time as a whole, right? Like you end up coming and hanging out and we talk about these game plans and they don't do anything with them, right? So we could give you the entire roadmap that we've used, and some of you guys were on there with us. You guys will know, like we were talking about our game plan to 100K, right? 0 to 100K online is what we've done to do hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars online. But there's people that never applied any of the information in there. We're giving the actual framework, right? As an example. So don't be afraid to give away your tactics, your strategies.
You got your
The the sales become infinitely easier if somebody goes and wins off your free content. If you give somebody a tactic and a strategy that they go generate some result with and they didn't pay you, that builds conviction and belief that you know what the fuck you're talking about and that they will actually want to buy your thing. Hey, I took that content strategy that you broke down and I wrote an entire week's worth of content in X hours. Like, appreciate it. They already had a win, right? The chances of them coming and being a paid client goes through the roof because you already helped them, right? Something I actually learned from Flip years and years ago when I did an interview in my group with him. It's one thing that he did to have his mega breakout month was he was doing a one quick win strategy where he was helping as many people as he could actually get a result in their business. And then when they did get the result, then they would talk about a paid opportunity. Hey, I helped you build out this and like you generated your first sale. Now let's like take this up a notch and let's work together for the next 6 months. Right. Just builds that conviction in you before you ever even charge. If you look at like the Alex Hermosi model, it's exactly what he's doing. Talking about giving and giving all these tactics because he wants people to be in this financial situation where then it would benefit him. I mean, he talks about, I don't have anything to sell you. Of course he's got something to sell you. Right? Let's be real. Everybody's selling something to an extent, right? So other examples, and these don't have to be like major breakthroughs either. It could be what are you doing and how are you doing it? What have you done and how have you done it? Talk about your past, talk about your failures, talk about your mistakes, talk about why you pivoted your business. Talk about shit that's went well in business prior and what hasn't went well. Right? You don't have to be a super polished, perfected, life is great 24/7 because that's not fucking real life. We all have highs and lows. We all have, days that suck and some days we don't want to run businesses and it's all part of the game. Don't be afraid to just talk about it for real. Right? I think it does a really good job at building those intimate connections versus, being in a Lambo 24/7 and, living on the beach and stuff like that. Cause it's like, it's not real. So, anyways, bird's eye view of the steps you're achieving, achieving X without Y and Z, or the thing that they're doing now or have already tried. So an example of this is like how we're regularly converting clients without sales calls. Something that we've made a point to talk about a lot. How we don't spam add friends or go join random groups or rely on complex tech and automation to do all our business for us. Those are all examples of what we do in our plan because those are things we actually do in our business and we want to cause people to want to come our way. Hey, we want to run our business the same way as you guys. So, hey, we kind of been doing this whole build out all these automated funnels and all this stuff and like kind of burn out on it. So we kind of want to do this thing that you guys have been talking about, for years. Right. But they wouldn't know that unless we bake that into our actual plan or what we do. We talked about it in our content, right? People wouldn't know that we don't do sales calls unless we talked about not doing sales calls. Right. Walk them through the steps of what it looks like as a paid customer / client. If you start closing sales and you're working with people, talk about what you're doing with them. And you don't have to necessarily post pictures of your clients or explicitly mention your clients. And I mainly mention this because I know there's a couple people that we work with who couldn't do that because they're like licensed therapists and that would be like against the law, I'm pretty sure, to be like, hey, I just had a therapy session with so and so. Like, I don't think that's legal. But you can talk about what it feels like or what you want to do with people. I think I broke down a post in here that talked about somebody who came into core and we helped her restructure an offer that she put out one post and made $1,000. Right? It's an example of talking about what that looks like. Right. We scheduled a Zoom session with her. We looked at her current offers. We looked at what she was doing, and then we helped her do this, and it ended in this result. Right. What will they get from your product? Like, if you notice, there's a lot of variables in here that are nothing to do with a product. And I think this is a big thing that a lot of people who are earlier, especially in the affiliate space, is they get very product centric. Right. They're like rechanging their TikTok names to like be titled around the product and like you are the business owner, not the product. Right. The product's the monetization vehicle. That's it. The whole other business that has to be moving and orchestrated before you can even thinking about monetizing. So that's why if you notice the product isn't necessarily the main focal point. Right. Yeah, mix in things about your offer or mix in things about what the product actually is, but it doesn't have to be the centerpiece of the business. I would encourage all of you guys to become the centerpiece of the business because you guys are all building personal brands. Right? So as the name implies, personal, human, you, right? You can sell people on you and who you are as a human being, your personality, your beliefs, your morals. They will buy products from you. If they believe in you, they will believe in what the product you recommend them to, and that's it. Right? It's a lot easier to sell people on you than it is to sell them on some random product, right? Because you can just talk about you and you can be yourself, right? Instead of being like a salesman and like, hey, this thing over here, like, just embed more of yourself into a lot of what you do is a big thing. As kind of goes into number 3, right? Who are you? Your flaws, strengths. What do you do for fun? How'd you grow up? Stuff you didn't enjoy, right? You guys will see a lot of this, and I don't share a lot of it. Flip shares a lot of this, but I don't. About like, growing up, trauma, stuff like that, like dysfunctional family, right? I was raised in a house of alcoholics and addicts, like, I don't talk about it a lot because I don't like the audience that it brings. If I'm being honest, that's why I intentionally don't mention it. Not that I'm like trying to like hide it or anything. It's just I don't like the attention that it actually brings. Um, because it usually brings a lot of people in that are like, mad at the world and want everything without changing. If I'm being honest, which I was at once upon a time, right? I was that guy. So, what are your perspectives, beliefs, thoughts on life and business? Do you have a dark sense of humor like me? What makes you tick in a good way? What makes you fly off the handle? What are you out here breathing for? Like what talk about you. Do you hunt? Do you fish? Do you, knit sweaters for cats? Like what do you do? Just talk about it. Does it like there's I think the biggest thing that stresses people out is like I don't know what to post, like fucking anything. Anything. Like literally, it could be anything. Right? Getting consistent with posting something is better than getting crippled and posting nothing. Because without the consistency of creating the content, nothing else works in this game. Right? It's a cause and effect. It's accumulation. It's a compound effect. Your content works together over prolonged periods of time. The real power of it is in the more that you've posted and the more content that people have consumed from you. Right? I've had people that watched my content for 2 years before they ever even made a buying decision. And I'm not saying everybody's going to take that long to make a buying decision from you, but the point I'm trying to make is the compound effect of this content. They started watching me and they started binging all my content. And then eventually they're like, oh, wow, like I've watched you change your entire life. And like it's been really inspiring to watch. So how can I work with you? This happens with more than one person at a time, but don't be afraid to just start throwing you style content. Doesn't even have to be about business. Like a story we reference all the time is Chantel. Right, Chantel's been in our world. She's been in the online space for a long time. She bought from us because she saw a picture of Flip's dog. Right, she started a conversation with Flip because she saw he had a pit bull and Chantel has a pit bull. Right, it's a good real-time example of spinning non-business things. And it's not even about spinning them. It's the cause and effect of what happens, right? The relationships gets kickstarted because Chantel's like, oh, he has a pit bull. I have a pit bull. I'm going to like say nice dog. And then this relationship unfolds, right? Or if you hunt and you're like, hey, I do this, or I'm like super excited for deer season or whatever, right? Like you're going to start pulling people in that have common interests. Then it's like, oh, well, you do business. That's fucking cool. What's that about? Right. So just examples of that, right? You can definitely, it doesn't discredit what you're doing if you're creating content that's not niche related or it's not related to your opportunity or, what you're actually trying to sell. Right. A lot of really big creators actually talk talk about doing like a very rigid 1-to-4 ask ratio. So a lot of the content is you have for every 4 pieces of content, there would be 1 piece of content that's around an offer. The rest is around anything else that's kind of under his personal brand, right? Lastly, talk about the thing that scares people the most. This is a part that makes people uncomfortable, but a very important one if you want to start making your sales easier. If you want to start reducing the resistance that you get from people, then you need to start talking about this piece more, right? What have you invested in? Why? How much? Go deep, talk about it. Are good investments, bad investments? Talking about your own risks, your own, like, have you invested thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, right? Like, and this doesn't have to be financial investment. It could be time investment too, right? Hey, I spent the last 2 years getting fat because I eat donuts every day when I wake up. Like, that's a serious time investment right there. As an example, don't be like Nate. But this is the piece that a lot of people are nervous about, or they feel like if they talk about, they're not going to get people to buy. It's a very popular one in like the $7 scene, right? Like, no, don't mention the $2,500 upsell because nobody would buy it, right? If I was selling that product, I would talk about the $2,500 thing up front first, because if I can tell them about this $2,500 thing and they expect it to happen on this day, it changes the entire experience for the customer, right? Instead of me being like, oh yeah, this is all you need, it's less than $10 and you can come in and you're going to get all this business built, and then they get the rug pulled out from under them and they're like, oh wait, you're locked out until you buy this thing. If you can flip the perspective onto it, it will train your audience to be okay with talking about money, right? I mean, in my group welcome post, I literally have it pinned in my group. Hey, the reason for this group is because I want to find good people to buy my thing. That makes you uncomfortable. You're not okay with that. You can leave my group, right? Totally understand. I'm some random ass dude on the internet, and I don't expect you to buy anything from me right now. You don't know who I am, but transparently, I sell products. I sell services. I run a business, right? Businesses sell products. So, talk about the investment piece. This will throttle, like, mind you, this will throttle engagement. This will drastically throttle the number of people. Right? If I'm putting out an offer post that leaves out the price, I'm going to get a lot more hand raisers than if I include the price. But the people that do raise their hand, or they follow the call to action, or they prompt with a conversation, they already know. They already understand that this is a paid opportunity, and it's going to like reduce the resistance that I have of actually converting them because they already understand, right? There's less room for interpretation as an example, right? I would definitely like focus on mixing in the 3 first, and then you can always like start injecting pricing here and there. But it's definitely not a bad one. Like, talk about your own investments. Talk about, these can be subtle injections too. They don't have to be big ones, right? Like when we talk about how we spend $40K a year on coaching, it's not because we want somebody to buy a $40,000 a month coaching offer from us. It's because we want our audience to be accustomed with talking about money, right? Because it's like it's a dirty thing, right? It still is, even to this day. Like, people don't like talking about finances. Some people don't talk about finances, but if we're openly talking about our own finances, then people will be more comfortable with talking about it with us, right? If we can't get clear on their own finances, then we can't actually find them an offer that's a good fit for them, right? So an easy way to like start making people more comfortable with this piece is by talking about our own, right? Hey, we spend this amount of money on coaching. Why? This is what it's done for us. This is the benefit that has come from that, right? Like, we're not trying to be like, oh, we spent $40,000 on this coaching program. Now come pay us $40,000 so we can pay for it. No, it's like, hey, we invest this into our business and this is like what we've gained. And we're just trying to get people acclimated to being like shifting perspectives. Right. And like, this is a crazy thing to think about is I know people that run multi 6-figure a year coaching programs. And I mean like per client, right? 100K per client for 6 months. Like
Buddy.
you want to get on you want to do a one-on-one call with us and you want to do this, like it's 100 grand up front.
Oh.
There's big offers out there. So talk about the finance piece. Don't be afraid to include that in your content and talk about that and start mixing it in. Here and there. Doesn't have to obviously be centerpiece of everything you do, but it does a good job at training your audience of going from, hey, I always have this free thing and I don't have anything to sell you. And not all of us can operate our businesses like Alex Ramosi, who already makes millions of dollars a year. Like we need to sell products and services to pay our bills and stuff like that. So let them know you have something to sell. That makes them uncomfortable. They're probably were never going to buy anyways. If it pisses them off, they're probably were never going to buy a product anyways. Right? If they're mad because you're a business owner and you're selling a product or a service. They were like, you don't want to sell them anything anyways. They're not going to be a good client. You don't want to work with them. Right? They're going to be a nightmare. So, and then kind of everything you're roping into your content can kind of be phased into these 4 different buckets. And all of them is kind of pre-selling on you and your offer at any given time, whether it's written content, video content. These would just be like more ideas for actual content itself. So that's all I got on the content buckets. I will come back through and give you guys a copy of this folder. You might have to download the folder. I might have to, or obviously I can give you guys access to this and you guys can kind of just make copies of the docs and, follow your own flow. The biggest thing to recap is, when you're creating your folders, just kind of like having it categorized by, who, obviously, if it's just you, that's not relevant, but where you're posting that content. So if you're creating content in your group, creating content in your profile, I would have those 2 separate folders, one for my group, one for my profile. And then I would usually recommend putting them into like year, and then I'm doing month, and then I'm creating it on a weekly basis in
I
Google
think it's
Docs.
time to get out and take a nap.
That's how I'm creating all my content.
I really do.
You guys have any questions? More than happy to kind of just open up and jam out with you guys, or let you guys get off my ugly mug for the rest of the day. Like it's completely up to you guys. Yes, there will be a replay. Yep, I'll get it put in school. I will start populating all of these trainings and all the replays from the monthly trainings inside of Cash Curriculum's classroom section. So yes, it will definitely be in there. I might edit it. I might chop off the front, try to make it a little bit shorter, but yeah, I'll definitely be putting the replay in there. And I'll put the folder and everything for you guys in there as well. So that way you guys can kind of put it into action. I will say if it's your first time doing this might be hard. Might be hard the first couple weeks that you try to do this, but it'll really help if you kind of stick with it. If I'm being 100% honest, it helps me a lot. It definitely makes creating the content a lot easier. it just opens up so much scope throughout the week to have more time to do other things. You struggle with consistency, this can be a big one. Right? This can be a very big part to it. Right? Like if you spend I usually do all of my content on Sundays. If I spend, 2 hours on a Sunday morning and I write all of my content, I have no excuse not to create all my post my content throughout the week. So it doesn't matter if, I get a flat tire or it snows 4 feet and I've never been in 4 feet of snow. Like, content's already done. Like, it's getting posted. So, and it might take, and we'll be honest, it will probably take you more than 90 minutes the first time you do it. It's probably a very real thing, which is fine. As I mentioned, I used to write my posts on pieces of paper when I was at work. It took me fucking all day. I would literally write this piece of content on a piece of paper all day, and then I would get off work and I would come home and I would type it out on the computer. And it would take me ages, right? So the reps will definitely help, but it will help as a whole, and it doesn't always have to be these very long. They don't have to be these long books. Every post doesn't have to be this 300-word Facebook post. It could be, 5 lines. Right? Hey, this is what we did this weekend. Ate some kick-ass food, like X, did this, spent some time, watched a movie. This is what we're doing throughout the week. What are you guys doing? That's the post. I could, just interact with the audience, right? I've been doing lives and downloading the live. Should I edit and post the highlights? You definitely can. You definitely could if you wanted to. I know TikTok rolled out features where you can kind of start doing this, like chopping up clips and stuff. That's what we do. A lot of our group juice calls on Tuesday get spun into TikToks. We have a video editor who pulls them. I think she uses either Descript or Opus Clips. Opus Clips does it by itself, so you could try that if you wanted to. I think any place, or even like repurposing the live, like if you ran a live on TikTok talking about, one thing or one tactic or one strategy, then like go spin it into a YouTube video or go put it in your group about, hey, this is a training on XYZ. Right? If you have already done something, then definitely recapitalize on it, right? If you've already done it. So any ways you guys can make your business is simple and easy to operate, I think it's always a good play. Awesome, Salvas. Oh, are you trying to say something, Lisa? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was gonna type in, but I've been hearing a lot of people on their lives and also on videos.
See, I don't. Maybe it's my because I noticed Eddie and Lindley were saying something about like, can you mute yourself? I haven't been able to hear anybody the entire call, so maybe that's my bad. You guys can hear me though.
Yes.
Speaker. Okay, try now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep. There we go.
Question for you.
Yep.
There's been a lot of activity on some videos that from content creators who are talking about stop buying courses and, people who are constantly consuming and doing trainings. And I just want, for your personal opinion, when is a good time to just stop doing that? If it's
So, I mean, I think it depends. I think it depends on. So you have to take certain things with a grain of salt, because if some people are like, stop buying courses, which, I'll talk about calling the pot the kettle black or however the quote goes, because I've said the same shit. I still say that. I probably did a post this week about that same thing. I think it boils down to the intention or the reason behind why you're buying something new. So the biggest problem that I personally see with a lot of people is, and I did for years, is I would buy something and then I would see something else, and then I would abandon everything and like, okay, I'm gonna burn everything down and go do this new thing because it looks
Mhm.
easier. The promise of this thing is gonna be better, right? And then I would find something else, and then I would be like, oh well, I'm gonna burn this thing down and go do this next thing because this is gonna be easier,
Mhm.
right? And I would go in this loop of like constantly looking for this next tactic or tip or trick or strategy that was going to make my life, where I wanted it to be versus now, like we still actively like I buy courses daily, right? Like I buy courses all the time. I bought a, $500 boot camp last night, right? But the thing with that is it's not like I'm trying to replace my business. I didn't buy this thing to go be like, oh, my business is broken. I'm gonna go buy this new thing and go do everything they're saying and not do anything else. It's like I'm looking at, okay, I have this model that I want to run. I have this thing that I want to do in my business. So if I'm making investments, I'm looking at investments as a way, can I enhance what I'm already doing with this?
Yeah.
Right. So like I'm already creating content, right? I'm already doing this. I'm already doing that. I'm already having conversations with people like, okay, well, does this thing that I'm looking at, does it provide enhancements to what I'm doing, or is it going to deviate me from what I'm actually like focusing on?
Okay,
Right.
that's
So
great.
it's you kind of have to be like self-aware as far as like what we are doing in business as far as like individuals and stuff like that, but it's a prevalent one in like the earlier game or the earlier space, right? People they jump around, and that's not to say people aren't trying to find their space or like their crowd of people or anything like that, but
Mhm.
uh the biggest commonality I think is people don't give themselves enough time to focus around one tactic or one expertise, I guess you could even say, as a whole, right? Like and a good real time example, like me and Flip have been talking about, we started running case study groups around group growth in 2021, right? Like that was the first case study group we ran around group growth and monetization was 3 years ago. We still talk about it. Right? It's like we've maintained focus in this one arena versus like a lot of the times people end up cannibalizing their audiences or contradicting themselves, not intentionally, but it's like one day they could be building all this momentum in their business around, you know, building brands with no tech or no automations. And then the next week they're like, you know, AI is the coolest thing since sliced bread. And it's like you'll cause contradictions in your audience, and it just makes it hard to build momentum because that would be like us. Like everybody knows that we're not going to do Zoom sessions and we don't pack our calendars with calls. And then it would be like us rolling out an offer to get more calls. Everybody in our audience would feel extremely duped. They'd be like, well, you guys have just told us for all this time that you don't do this. And now you're going to show us how to do this. It's not to say that we couldn't make that work. It would just derail our momentum. It would make our audience be like, well, you told us one thing and now you're doing something different. Right. So I think that's the biggest thing is it causes confusion in like the momentum you end up building for the people. It's like uh and a lot of the times what ends up happening is I've seen this happen a lot with some of our clients too, is and I did this myself, is they'll start having success, right? And the natural thing is like when you start having success, you want to keep going, you want to make things better. So you start looking at other things. It's like you start throwing wrenches in the mix when things start working versus like doubling down on what you were just doing. Like we helped somebody like do an offer and they did like, 10K in less than 2 months. And then we're like, okay, well, you need to double down on like, look at everything you did to do that $10,000. And then like, we need to do more of that. We need to increase the volume of the things you were already doing. But instead they're like, okay, well, now I'm going to go build out this automated sequence and this process and this system. And it's like, and then all the sales completely stopped. It's like, well, you stopped doing the stuff that you were actually doing in the business, right? Like you pivoted all your energy to something else, right? Which is an easy thing to do, right? It's like very easy. I want to make this thing better, so I'm going to start mixing in new things versus enhancing what you're already doing is probably usually a very good way to look at it, right? Like we still actively invest in things. I mean, we don't openly. The thing, I guess, is kind of a difference for us though, because we're not like necessarily. We don't talk about them very often, right? It's not like we're like, hey, we bought this product from somebody, like because we have no intentions of selling the product, right, or being an affiliate for said products or something like that. We're usually just looking at ways we can enhance our own business, right, or what we already do.
Mhm.
And if you guys are affiliates, you guys are promoting affiliate products, like I don't care what the product is, just pick something and just play with it for a little bit longer. Like that's a big part of it too, is a lot of the times people don't give themselves enough time to even build momentum. Like, hey, I tried to post about this thing for 16 days and it didn't work, and now I need to find another product, and then they just like kind of go in loops. And like uh if you made it, like, for example, if we made it a point in our own business to, for the rest of the year, we made it a point to get 500 people in cash curriculums, that's a very substantial recurring income stream off of a low ticket product.
That's
You-
something that, yeah, that's where I'm kind of like struggling, not struggling, but I want to focus on my content and then use cash curriculum as my way of I'm here and growing because of cash curriculum and, little things that I've done. But I mean, but I don't want to be a make money, a cash curriculum 100%. I want to show my
Yeah.
growth organically, but it's because I'm part of this group. I hope I'm going in the right direction. I
No.
just haven't refined it. It just seems to be everywhere. So that's why today's training really helped me a lot.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to go into it too, is like, and this goes for anybody who's an affiliate of anything. Don't be like a poster child of the product. This goes for our own, like even if you promote some of our stuff, like don't be you know, a poster child for us. And that's the reason for that is like you guys are the brands. You guys are the individuals that run your businesses, and what you sell and what you do will evolve and change over time. And uh it makes it really hard when you specifically marry yourself to the product, right? So like so for example, like if you look on TikTok, like the MRRs everywhere, it's been everywhere for a while, right? Like you have all these people who have their names are MRR with so and so, and like, you know, passive income with MRR and all this stuff. Okay, but what happens when that's not a trending product anymore? Right? Instead of you building your brand and then selling whatever the hell you want, it's like everything you do revolves around this product, and this is the centerpiece of everything you do. Versus, hey, I'm learning all this really cool shit over in this product. Like this is all the stuff that I'm doing in my business, and like you can go take this product too if you want, right? Versus everything is just product training, this. It's like, and there's not anything necessarily wrong with that. Like obviously it works, people make sales with this, but it does. I think if you guys want long-term security, and I'm talking about if you guys want to be playing this game for a while, not just make some money in the next 12 months and make enough money to like buy a new car or whatever. If you guys actually want to play this game and be around for a while, then you need to be the product. You're the brand, you're the product. The What you're selling, whether you're an affiliate or you have your own offers or just a vehicle to like sell, it's just a product, right? So you're definitely going into it about the right way. I wouldn't like you can always mix in content, once, twice a week around XYZ. A good example of this is like Danya. She's just launched a book about, you know, the Confessions of a Female Truck Driver. She, does health and wellness, essential oils group, does all this other stuff, and she sells group juice, right, on the side because she has business owners that want to grow groups. But it's not like she's coming into it like, hey, I have this, cool thing that you can use to make money online. No, it's like, hey, I'm this badass woman who drives trucks and wrote a book and lives a healthy lifestyle while driving on the road. And I learned how to grow a group and I got almost 1,000 people in it. And I've made sales out of it. So if you guys want to learn how to do that shit too, then send me a message, right? Like I got a cool training that will help you do that.
Okay. Yeah, when I'm on my show, everything I offer is free and I have one paid offer only. And that paid offer is cash curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, good. Thank you very much. I needed to hear that.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, see that's a really good point. Well, see, I didn't even know that. Yeah, if you look at like at pro football players, they take ballet. I didn't even know that. That's pretty cool. Cross train.
I'd heard that before.
I didn't even know. That's cool. Awesome sauce. Well, I won't hold you guys up. If you guys have any questions or you guys have any feedback or anything, don't hesitate to drop it in the cash curriculums or hey, if you use this content strategy to write some content for the week, fucking drop some pictures, drop a video. Like I would love to see some of your guys' content in the group. That would be cool. So and I will definitely start brainstorming what I want to cover next month. If you guys have things you want covered, talked about, more than happy to take everybody's answers into account. We will be running a little bit more high value behind the scenes tactics, strategy trainings for you guys because you guys are in cash curriculums. Versus I know the monthly trainings as the affiliates were kind of the same ones. We were trying to rope in sales like transparently. That's what we were doing with them. This is more about helping you guys get more results because you guys are already students and here with us. So you guys have burning problems, don't hesitate to drop them in the group and I'll definitely be pulling probably the most common ones and common things that I'm seeing in the market and I'll prep you guys something to go over next month. So I will let you guys know when I get the replay up and I will get the folder because I know I didn't send you guys the folders and stuff like that, but I will get them put under the videos. Maybe I'll put another video under there on how you can actually get them into your own Google Drive and stuff like that. So that way you guys can start using this to create your content if you want. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited to start being organized with my freaking content for sure.
Hell yeah,
Bobby.
Bobby.
I have my Google Drive and I have just like content all over and then I go back, I'm like, oh fuck, where did I write that one that I started like fucking last week? And then I don't know where the fuck I put it, right? So I love how you put it all in years and then in months and then in weeks. So yeah. I'm definitely gonna start doing that shit for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifesaver, especially when when you want to repurpose or like, for example, like Bobby said, if you didn't finish a post or you can't find it, then it's kind of all in one place. So it definitely makes it nice. It's yeah, I used to do it all on, I think when we first launched Group Juice, I was doing it all on ClickUp, which was like a software that I was using at the time. And then I had like a content board that I gave people, but I just started doing it in Google and I've been doing it in there ever since. So definitely like it better. It's definitely easier to manage and it's not as techy. So it's easier in my opinion, right? Like, so.
Yeah, I can't wait to get more organized. That's for damn sure. Thanks. I was really looking forward to this training. I needed to freaking get my shit organized for sure.
Yeah. Awesome sauce. Well, I'll let you guys go and I'll keep you posted about Flip. He sent me a message earlier, so I will see. And
is he home yet? Is he home yet?
No, I don't think so.
No, he's still in the hospital. Dang. My husband actually has diverticulitis too. He's got colitis, and they unfortunately they didn't have to do surgery for him, but I know other people that have had to have surgery too. So I can feel his pain for sure.
Yeah,
That's painful.
they were hoping that that's why he stayed in there like an extra week or whatever, because they were gonna see if he didn't have to get surgery, but he did, and then the medication's been making him like really nauseous and vomiting, and so now they're like, you have to go a couple days without, getting sick if you want to leave, and it's like you're giving me medication that's making me sick. So
No.
yeah.
Well,
So we'll
I'm
see.
glad everything turned
Fingers
out
crossed.
okay
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. Yeah. Glad it went
Nice.
smooth,
Well, awesome, Nate. Thank you so much.
Awesome sauce. You guys have a kick-ass weekend, and I'll get this replay up for you guys some point today, and I look forward to seeing some of your guys' stuff.
Cool.
Thanks, Nate.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you, Lisa.